everyone, welcome back. I'm Katie, and today we are going to be doing the mid-year book freakout tag. So I'm actually going to be doing a little bit of two different tags because Jesse the Reader, who was actually one of the very first booktubers that I ever watched, he actually created the mid-year book freakout tag, but he also just posted like one called, I forgot what it was called now, and I wrote it down. There it is, mid-year reading check-in book tag. So I just figured, I would do both. If he's not the original creator of that second one, I will make sure, but I'm pretty sure he did both. So without further ado, I'm not going to do like all the questions from both. Otherwise, we would be here for a very long time. I don't think we'll be here for that long because it's going to be fun and we're talking about books. And this is like one of my favorite tag videos to do every year because I just love to talk about all the new stuff that we've read throughout the year. It's kind of like a mid-year wrap-up video. So this is just so much fun. So I'm going to do the mid-year book freakout tag, and then I'm going to do a couple questions from the other tag as well. So the first question was, best book you've read so far. Now, this year is probably the toughest year I've had for favorites because I have just had so many 5-star reads. Like, I'm not joking. So many. So the one I'm going to talk about is In Feast or Famine by Misu Andrews. I love this book so much. This is a biblical fiction on Joseph and his wife, who was a priest's daughter in Egypt, and I loved it. It's my new favorite Misu Andrews book that I have read, and I absolutely loved it. I love the characters. The villain in this is one of my favorite villains of all time. Like, he's just well written, and you just really want to hate him, but I just absolutely love it. So it's all about Joseph and him becoming like pretty much second in command in all of Egypt. And I mean, it talks about like the daily things that he did, traveling to different cities throughout Egypt, making sure that everybody was getting ready for the famine. So it's really good. So it was really good. So that's one of my absolute favorites. I'm going to put that right here. I think I have room. Yes, so we'll put that right there in case I need it again. All right, so the next question is best sequel you've read so far. And this one actually might be my favorite of the year, but I didn't want to like that's kind of tied with the sequel I'm going to talk about, which is In This Moment by Gabrielle Mayer. So I love this book. This is the sequel to When the Day Comes, and these two books are just absolutely brilliant, lovely written romance books that are time travel books, and I love them so much. I love them so much. Honestly, the second book might be my favorite. That's not everybody's opinion. I feel like a lot of people like the first one a little bit better, but the second one, I don't know, I just love the romance and the intense decision making that this character really had to decide and try to figure out. It's just great. So these books are about dual timelines. This one's actually 3 timelines, but it's all about this girl having to choose before her 21st birthday to decide what timeline she wants to stay in for the rest of her life. So it's really good, and I love them. And the 3rd book comes out next year, which is too long to wait, honestly, because I'm just way too excited. But both of these books are absolutely amazing. And yeah, so this is my favorite sequel that I've read this year, In This Moment. All right, the next question is a new release that you still want to read. So that one, I decided to go with a middle grade. So the 3rd book in the Dreamkeeper saga by Catherine Butler, Lost in the Caverns. This one came out in May, I think, and I still have not read it. But this is, I think, the longest one in the series. So I don't know if it's going to be the final book or not. I don't know. No, there is a book 4. Okay, so this is not the end of the series. So I'm actually pretty excited. So this is the 3rd book. It's all about this girl who she finds this magic crystal that was supposedly gifted from her father, who was presumed dead in the water. And so she ends up finding out, she ends up wearing it to school one day. And this is kind of like a Christian allegory type story. It's very, not super reminiscent, but it's definitely got that kind of Chronicles of Narnia feeling. So she ends up wearing the crystal to school, and there's this bully there. And she starts to get into a fight with this bully, and then she needs protection. So all of a sudden, this knight in shining armor appears out of nowhere. And so she ends up finding herself with some friends in this mysterious kingdom called is it the realm? The realm. And it's really good. So it's where dreams and nightmares come to life. And so a lot of things happen in this kind of dream realm. And I really enjoyed it. This is the third book, so I'm probably going to be reading this next week, I think, if I don't have time this week. So I'm very excited to continue on with the series. So there's book 4, which I'm really excited about. So let me put that there. All right, the next book, actually, I think I'm done talking about these two. So we'll put these back too. All right, so let's see. The next question is most anticipated book for the second half of the year. So I have actually 3 that I'm going to talk about. I'm really excited about The Love Script by Toni Shiloh because it's Toni Shiloh. I have loved every book that I've read by her, and I still have a ton of her backlist left, but just anything that she writes, I will most likely read. Like, yeah. I love her books so much, and I cannot wait for the Love Script to come out because I'm on her launch team. So I'm so excited that I get to just have fun on her launch team and just support like one of my favorite authors. Honestly, a lot of people I talk about are favorite authors, but I just cannot wait for her book. The next one is called The Girl from the Papers by Jennifer L. Wright, and I've never read anything by Jennifer, but this book just sounds so good. It's like a Bonnie and Clyde historical fiction, and I'm all for that. I love that era, and I cannot wait to read it. I think it's gonna be so much fun. And then the last one is The Letter Tree by Rachel Fordham, and I've read one Rachel Fordham, absolutely loved it, and so I cannot wait for her new release because it is set near me, so I cannot wait. When I saw the cover and I saw the Buffalo Zoo on the cover, I'm like, I had an internship there. I need to read that book, so I cannot wait. I think it's gonna be so much fun. All right, the next question is a biggest surprise that you've read this year. So for that one, it's gonna be a happy surprise. I would have done a sad surprise, but I'll do that one later. So The Blameless by E.S. Christensen. This was a happy surprise. This is an upper middle grade, low YA. I wouldn't say it's super Christian fantasy. Honestly, you really can't really tell that it's Christian fantasy. It just has kind of those themes and elements. So this is one of my favorite fantasy books ever. I love this book so much, and I need to read the sequel because before I forget what this one was about, so I need to read the sequel because my brain works that way. It just forgets everything that I've read. But I love this one. This is about a girl who is heir to the kingdom, and her entire family ends up getting killed. And so these 3 men in the background end up saving her. She thinks they're bad men, but they end up rescuing her. And it feels like such a close-knit found family. Okay, so I had an incoming phone call, so hopefully that didn't cut off too much. But anyways, The Blameless, found family. These 3 guys just reminded me so much of like banter from like Lord of the Rings, how like Legolas and Gimli and Aragorn. It was just like this banter back and forth, and I just love this in this book. And so yeah, I absolutely love it. It's great. I cannot wait to read the sequel, and she's writing the 3rd book now, so I'm like, I need it. So yeah. So thank you for the author for sending me a copy of this book because it was amazing, and I can't wait to read the sequel. All right, so the next question is, new favorite author. So I want to go with a couple, but I actually did talk about her books. Gabrielle Meyer is definitely a new favorite. I read book 1 and 2 both this year. Love them. I love her writing. Yeah, so new favorite author, Paperbacks. I read my first book by her in December, but I've read two or three since then, and I've loved them all. So Authentically Izzy by Paperbacks. Anything by this author I will want to read. So I love her books. I had one more, which is another new favorite, Jennifer Dybel. I've only read one of her books, but I read The Maid of Ballymaccool, and it's like a historical fiction Cinderella retelling, and I cannot wait to read more of her books. I heard so many good things about her other books as well that I'm just like, yep, she's going on the favorites like very soon. So, or like she's already there, but I've only read one book. So, but yeah, I'm very excited to continue reading her books. I think I'm done talking about those. No, I'm not done talking about that one. All right, so the next question is newest fictional crush. So we're gonna talk about that one that I almost put back, and that is Brody by Inauthentically Izzy by Paperbacks. So Brody is my newest fictional crush. I have had a few. Definitely, I want to talk about him too in The Maid of Bally McCool. What's his name? I forgot. What's his name? Michael. Michael in The Maid of Bally McCool. Honestly, one of the most nicest, kindest guys I've ever read in fiction. Like, just, yeah, Prince Charming material for sure. So, yeah, but it's talking about newest fictional crush, so that would be Brody and Authentically Izzy. So, Brody is from like an island off the coast of England. So, obviously, he's got the accent. Obviously, he loves the Lord. He loves books. He loves Lord of the Rings. He's got a dog. He lives in a like picturesque little town. His family owns bookstores. All the things. I am more than happy to fall in love with this fictional crush of Brody. So yeah, he's got everything. And yeah, so definitely, he is definitely a top choice for new fictional crush. All right, so the next question is a book that made you cry. Give you a few seconds to figure out which one I'm going to talk about. Because I did tell you I cried very much when I read this book earlier this year. And that is Unspoken by Angela Hunt. This one made me ugly cry. And I mean, I cry in books very rarely, but usually I cry in private. You know, like if it's a sad moment, if it's a sad moment in the book, if I'm alone, I'll cry. But if other people are in the room, I'm like, I don't cry. Like I don't really show emotion that much when I'm reading. So this one, I cried in front of my mom, and I never do that. So yeah, this one made me ugly cry. It just tore my heart out and threw it on the floor. And if you're an animal lover, please be very forewarned that it is going to make you cry. It's going to make you cry, but it's also really good. So there's that as well. So yeah. So, and also, it's kind of interesting, but I wrote to Angela Hunt, and she actually said that one of these characters is one of her absolute favorite that she's ever written, and she's written tons of books, so that's pretty interesting. So I guess this one was close to home, so yeah. So she even sent a little note that I pasted in here, and I used animal washi tape to go with the theme, but yeah, so I'm in love with this book, but it also, like, I just want to throw it out the window because it's so sad, but it's really good. So, okay, let's put that there. All right, the next question is worst book you've read so far. So I kind of had a couple this year. I definitely had a ton of DNFs, so I'm not talking about books that I DNF'd. I'm talking about books that I actually finished. So the one I'm going to talk about is called, lost it, there we go, Unexpected Stories by Octavia E. Butler. I'm finding out I am not a fan of her work. Kindred, I think I only gave between 2 and 3 stars, and Unexpected Stories, I think I gave 1, maybe 1.5. But I'm finding out I am not a fan of her work. She's just not for me. I don't like her writing style. I mean, I definitely like that, like, she has like this like historical sci-fi feel to her books, but I do not like her writing. Yeah, there's something about her books. Like, I can kind of remember that there was aliens in like the second story, and then the third story was like the worst. Like, it had to do with like, I don't know. She didn't use the word psychic, but like it was leading in that direction. Thankfully, it's like a super short story. But like, yeah, I did not like any of the books or any of the stories in that book. I think there was only 2 or 3. But yeah, I don't think I'm a fan of hers, and so I will not be reading any more of hers. So yeah, I literally only read that one because for one book challenge it said to read an Octavia E. Butler book, and I already read Kindred, so that was the shortest one, and I did not like it. So yeah, all right, on to happier things. Most beautiful book you've acquired this year. So I've been gifted quite a few by authors, and I've won quite a few giveaways, but I don't think I've actually gotten like a beautiful, like a physically beautiful book. As far as like beautifully written, yeah, there's a ton of those, but I'm actually going to say this one, which is way down at the pile. I forgot I needed it again. But that is In Feast or Famine. Now the cover is really beautiful. I love this like teal blue. I love that. But what makes this beautiful is just the memory behind this. I pre-ordered it, which I never do. I never pre-order books. But it's Misu Andrews. It's Misu Andrews. She's my adopted mom now. I had to order it, but I ordered it before she became my adopted mom. But anyways, so I pre-ordered this, which I never do. I knew I was going to love it, and it was no disappointment. I did, and it's more the memory behind this book. It's the fact that I got to meet with Misu, hang out with Misu during my book weekend vlog. I'll link that down below if you missed it. But I got to hang out with her. I brought my huge stack of books that for her to sign. It was like 15 books, but like just so many hugs that I got from her and the memory. And then I actually went back because I told her she only had to personalize the one book and then just sign the rest. But I realized that this is my new favorite book by her. So I went back and asked if she could personalize this one just to, put my name or a small note. But she ended up writing like a book to me. So honestly, this is more of like it's just more of like a special memory book that like I will just love forever, that like, a new friend and a new family member and author, and both her and her husband. Her husband's great too. I like him too. He's very, very wonderful. I love both of them. But yeah, so I love this book and I love Misu so much. So I think this is more of like a beautiful memory. It's also a beautiful book too. All right. So I think I'm done with the mid-year book freakout tag. So I'm going to do a couple questions from the mid-year reading check-in book tag. So the first question is, what's the most disappointing book you've read so far this year? So it's similar to worst book, but this is more of just a disappointment, like it wasn't what you thought it was going to be. So I'm actually going to put one. I did give it 3 stars, or 3.5. 3.5. But it was a disappointment because I was looking forward to reading this book for like a year and a half, I think. Yeah, roughly then. It came out last year, and that was The School for German Brides by Amy Runyon. And I buddy read this with my friend Krista over at Books and Jam. But I don't know, it was good, but it wasn't up to what I thought it was going to be. It definitely didn't have as much action as I thought it was going to be, because it is World War II fiction, and I honestly thought there was going to be just a little bit more, not so many slow parts. There was quite a few slow parts, and I hated the aunt in the book. She was absolutely horrible. I'll probably talk more about it in my wrap-up, but she was absolutely horrible to the one girl in the book, Hannah, and I will talk more about that at my end of the month wrap-up. But yeah, she was horrible. Like one of the worst family member characters I've ever read. Like worse than an evil stepmother. Yeah. So yeah. So that was definitely one that like, it was definitely way different than what I was expecting it to be. And so that's why it was a little bit of a disappointment. Not that it was a terrible book, but just a disappointment. All right, so the next question is, what's the best book recommendation you've received this year? Now, I'm actually in the middle of reading this book, but I'm almost done with it. I have like, I think 25% left, I think. But my writer friend, I can't believe I'm saying writer friend, but I can count her as a friend. She's awesome. My writer friend, Tony Shiloh, I asked for her recommendation because that was a prompt in a challenge that I'm in on Facebook for reading challenges. And it was for an author recommendation. So I asked Tony, and Tony gave me the recommendation of My Stubborn Heart by Becky Wade, which is actually my first book that I've ever read by Becky Wade. So thank you, Tony, for recommending that book, because I've been wanting to read Becky Wade, and that's the first book that I pick up. So I'm reading it and I'm really enjoying it. I think so far, I think it's between 4 and 4.5 stars. So I'm really enjoying it. I have gotten like a ton of recommendations from you guys, from my friends, but usually I just put them on a list because there's just so many that I can't get to them all at once. But since this was for a reading challenge, I actually finally got to it. So, but I really am enjoying it, and I'm liking the characters, and yeah, it's a good time, and I'm loving the faith message behind it, and just seeing how like this man is struggling through his faith because his first wife passed away from cancer, and so you're seeing him really struggle with his faith and being like, why did you take her? Like, she was a good person. Why did you take her, God? So he's really struggling with his faith. And then this girl comes along who's a complete opposite of his wife. And just her just helping him and showing him that God is still with him through everything. And I love it. I'm really enjoying it. All right, the next question is, what was your first DNF this year? And for that one, mine was, I think, I keep pretty good track, but I think it was The Daredevils by Rob Bahia. And I think this is the one, it was a middle grade book where these kids, they were out playing games, and I was fine with that. But then they like had a camp out in the middle of the woods, and they started like I don't know, doing some like weird like worshiping dances to like the spirits of the forest. And I was like, okay, closing and returning back to the library, because no, I would not recommend that one. All right, the next one was a new release from this year that you've read and your thoughts on it, good or bad. So I have good thoughts. I don't know, I'm just in a happy mood and I really want to have good thoughts, I guess, on these books. So Erin Bartel's Everything is Just Beginning. This one came out in the beginning of the year. I think it was either January or February. And this was a happy surprise. I could actually put this in the surprise question of the other tag. But I loved this one. It was really good. So this is like is this the 1989, almost the 90s. It's close enough. But it's got a lot of rock references, like the 60s through the 80s. But I loved it. I loved the friendship between our two main characters. I loved the music references and how they were trying to put a band together and write music. And I really liked it. I liked it. It was very, very different from a lot of Christian fiction. Well, pretty much any Christian fiction that I've read. Very different. Definitely some themes of I think there's themes of alcoholism in this book and just some tough topics. But I think Erin Bartels did a really good job. And I can't wait to read the rest of her backlist because I do have them all. And I can't wait to read more. So this is definitely the one that I have good thoughts and I really enjoyed it. I'm going to put that up there. My foot's falling asleep, by the way. All right. Next question. Sorry, my paper. All right, next question is a book that came out in the first half of the year that you want to read and the book coming out in the second half of the year that you're anticipating. So that second part kind of matches with one question from the previous one, but I'm going to do different answers. So the first one that's already released that I haven't read yet, but I want to, is The Weight of Air by Kimberly Duffy. I actually kind of forgot I had a copy of this because I bought it on my vacation and totally forgot. So this is like a circus story, and I mean, it's a circus story. I don't want to know anything more about it. It's just, I love circus stories and I have a feeling I'm going to love it because the color is beautiful. I love the cover so much, and I cannot wait to read it. So I should probably prioritize that book this year sometime. And then one that is, what is that noise? Something shaking. I don't know if it's poo or, I don't know. Anyway, something was wobbling back there. But anyways, so a book that's coming out later this year that I am most anticipating, another one, and I have it, which is The All-American by Susie Finkbeiner. I am really trying hard not to read it because I have other books I need to review before this one. But I really want to read it because, I love Susie, and this cover is stunning, and there's just this story about a girl in the 50s wants to be a baseball player, and she writes to this team called the Workington Sweet Peas and wants to be part of their baseball league. And I really want to pick this up, but it doesn't come out until July. So I don't want to do a book review on it and tell you guys, hey, this one doesn't come out until a month from now. I mean, I could, maybe I will, because honestly, I really just want to read this book so badly. You have no idea how much I really want to read this book, so I might just end up just picking it up. Because honestly, I've been waiting for this book since December, so I just need to read it. All right. And there's a couple more questions. Let's see. The next question is, what's the most beautiful book you've added to your collection? So that's similar to the other one, but it has a second part. Or a beautiful book you'd love to own. So, a book that I'd love to own. There is actually two or three different copies on Etsy. And they are The Princess Bride. Beautiful, stunning. I think there's a leather edition. There's a custom edition. So they're all kind of custom made. They're not ones that were mass marketed. So all of these I would absolutely love. If you don't know, I'm trying to collect every single different Princess Bride edition that I can get my hands on. So I have Oh, they're way up there. But I have like 8 to 10 different ones, and so I'm just trying to just collect as many as I possibly can. So I mean, if you have a Princess Bride copy just lying around at home, message me over on Instagram at Paperbacks and Ponytails, because like, yeah, because I am trying to collect as many as I can. I do have quite a few of like the original ones, or not the original, but like the movie poster ones. But like, yeah, I'm always looking for new editions of the Princess Bride that I don't own already. All right, so let's see. The next question is, what genre have you read the most from this year? This was a surprise. I looked at my reading journal before I did this video, and it is fantasy / magical realism. That was a surprise. Because last year, I feel like last year was probably historical fiction. Yeah, I would comfortably say it was probably historical fiction. But yeah, fantasy. Look at me. So the next question kind of goes along with that is, do you feel your reading tastes have changed or shifted at all this year? A new genre you love, a new favorite trope, or a new favorite theme? So yeah, I am refinding my love for fantasy. I don't really realize how much I love fantasy and sci-fi, both of them, until like I start to get back into it. I'm like, I love it. I love fantasy. So yes, I mean, there's 3 right there that I read in the past year or so. But yeah, I'm loving fantasy. So I definitely have a huge list of fantasy that I would like to read on my app that I'm keeping track of and want to cross off at some point. As far as a new trope, I think Marriage of Convenience, like I didn't realize how much I loved it until this year. So that would be a new trope that I'm really in love with and enjoy. All right, so I don't really have a new favorite theme. Not really. All right, the next question is, if you set any bookish goals for yourself this year, how are they going? Not so great. They're going okay. I finished reading an author from finished reading a book, not an author. I finished reading a book from every author that was going to be at the Fiction Reader Summit that I was going to. That was my main goal for this year. I wanted to read a book from every author that was going to be there, and I accomplished that, like within a week of going. So I did that. I did accomplish my first goal, which is always 100 books. That one's like way gone, and now I'm heading to 300. So, or 250? No, I'm on my way to 300. I'm at like 255 or something. But don't be upset if your reading goal is lower. It's not a competition, and I read a lot of comic books and a lot of audiobooks at like 2 to 3 times the speed. So that's the only way I can get through that many. All right. Other reading goals. I did want, well, it's not a reading goal, but it's a writing goal. I wanted to continue my my book that I'm supposed to be writing, but that's not going as planned. My goal was to just make progress, so like that hasn't even happened. So honestly, I'm probably going to be writing quite a bit this summer / fall, maybe more in winter. So yeah, that's going somewhere. All right, so the next question is, what book format have you been gravitating towards this year? Physical, ebook, audiobook? I'm going to say, honestly, mostly audiobooks. Years ago, I never would have pegged me as an audiobook fan. I used to love audiobooks growing up, but like I used to love like Adventures in Odyssey and like full cast audiobooks that had like 3 to 10 different actors. But I'm starting to get used to them, and I really love them. They help me get through books a lot quicker, and I found out that, like, because I can't read physically in the car, otherwise I get car sick. So I listen to audiobooks, and I'm really enjoying them. I used to watch movies in the car, but now I listen to audiobooks. So yeah, the majority of my reading is audiobooks. Honestly, I love reading physical books, and I used to read physical books like 24/7. But lately, I don't know. I've been a fan of audiobooks lately and a few ebooks. So like I've only read a handful of physical books this year, which is kind of disappointing. I should read more. All right, the next question is, and the last one. Finally, a book that you've read this year that embodies it says vibe, but the feel of how your reading is going so far this year. And honestly, I really don't have one for this one, because like my reading is all over the place, if I'm being honest. Like And like it always has been. I'm a fan of pretty much every single genre out there. I love them all. I really have like no super favorite genres. Like I'll read almost any genre out there as long as it's you know, minimal language and no extra love scenes in it, then like I'll read anything. So yeah, there's not really a book that I was gonna say The Blameless by E.S. Christensen, that middle grade fantasy book, only because like I want my books to be like that, which they have been. Like I've had so many 5 stars that they kind of feel like a found family. So yeah, I guess I'll say that. All right, so I hope you enjoyed this video. If you do the middle grade book tag, I'd love to know. Let me know down in the comments if you did it, or answer some of these questions down in the comments. I'd love to know. Let's pick a question to answer together. I'd love to know. Let's see, what should we answer together? I would love to know your newest fictional crush, if you have them. If you don't, then let's do, let's see. What's your most beautiful book you have in your collection, whether it's physically beautiful or the words in it are just beautiful to you? So I would love to know. I would love to know both of those. So I hope you have a wonderful day. And this video was actually planned to go up in July because I do actually like to film it like after the actual 6th month is done. Like June is the 6th month of the year, and I feel like mid-year book freakout tag should happen after the 6th month, but that's okay. That's okay. I decided to put it up early because I had a reading vlog planned, and that just kind of went. So we'll do this instead. All right, so I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you all in the next video.